Hey again, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about different watercolor supplies and what you should get. So yeah, let's get started with paints. Paints are one of the most important watercolor supplies. So let's get started with that. Tubes are the most popular option. If I paint on a palette, if I put paint on a palette, it can dry completely and I can still use it. There are other paint options like paints in pans and liquid watercolors that are also good to use. Pans come in a box and you just have to dilute the paint and use it. I'm not going to go in detail about these paints. I don't know much about the liquid watercolors as it is not something very popular and not something I've used. So yeah, but if you do want a video about that, I can do some research and come back to you. So these are my paints. This is the one in the pans. I used it long before when I was just beginning. It's been about a year now since I've started watercolor. The first 3-4 months I used pans. They were very comfortable for me, so I do suggest using pans at the starting, and then after you kind of understand how to use them and you're used to them, you can start using tubes. Yeah, my white tube is missing, so I'm really sorry about that. It should be somewhere in the stash. I'll go and get that back. So yeah, these are my tubes. They're great quality and I really like them. They're also 12 colors. It's from the brand Camel. So the next thing I want to share with you is that about paints, that you should choose quality over quantity. As you can see, this is not a great quality, but as I was beginning, it's fine. And this is a really good quality. So now if you see a pan of 20 colors, you're like, ooh, I should get this. It's only for very less price, and there's a 5-color set that is for a very expensive price. You can take the 5-color one because you do get what you pay for, and I do suggest investing in good quality paints. But if you don't have much money and you can't afford for starting, cheap is fine, because if you have good quality, better paintings, more quantity, it doesn't give you any use, does it? So yeah, that's something I really wanted to share about. Putting that aside, let's come to paper. Watercolor paper comes in many brands nowadays that are very good quality. Paper comes in many types: cold press, hot press, and rough. The most commonly used is cold press. Cold press is used for almost everything. You can use it for abstract, loose, and detailed work. With cold press, it's a little hot, but you can do detailed work. Hot press is used for more detailed work that you have to have some precision on. It's really smooth surface in hot pressed, and it's really rough surface in cold pressed. And a rough is not usually used, but if you do have to use it, then it's mostly for abstract purposes. The paper also has different weight. The weight varies, but I do recommend you to buy a 300 GSM weight paper. It's really good quality. It's thick and it doesn't warp or buckle, so I do recommend that. But if you can afford, I recommend at least 100 GSM, as you need thick watercolor paper for good quality paintings. Right now I am using, this is a piece of hot press paper. Hot press paper is really good for me. I love using hot press paper. It also matters about what kind of paper you like using. Hot press is very comfortable for me. I just love using it, and it's so smooth, and I like smooth surfaces. This is just a piece of hot press paper. I'll just put that aside. And this is the actual set of my papers. It's from the brand Brustro, and it's 25% cotton, and it's 300 GSM. That is very good quality. As you can see my finger pointing here, 300 GSM. Yeah, that's something I want to tell you, because 300 GSM is good, really good quality. So yeah, that's something I wanted to mention. And the next thing is about brushes. Brushes vary in sizes, so invest in only a few brushes, as that's all you need. So you need one for tiny details like number 2, or like a number 2 or a number 1, like this one here, the yellow brush I'm showing you right here. That's a number 2 brush, and I use it mostly for all my details. And then you need one for spreading paint. This light green one is good for spreading paint. It's slightly big brush and it's good quality. And then those are the main brushes you need. But if you can invest in one more brush, then I do recommend the flat brush. It's really good for spreading paint or water for landscapes and sceneries. So those are brushes. Now after brushes, the only thing left is water jar. Now here I use this water jar. It's not actually a jar, it's just a plastic bottle. I put water in it and use it to paint as watercolor. For watercolor, water is an essential because you can't paint without it. So it's a very old plastic bottle that I use for it. You should get something like that too, because water is essential. And then there's some extra stuff that is not very important, but I do recommend them if you can afford them. I don't have them right here now. I should have prepared a little bit more over time before, so I didn't do that, so I couldn't gather any materials. So while I'm talking about these materials, I'll just be showing you all my supplies once more. So yeah, those materials are a palette. It's very important to have a palette actually, but if you can't afford it, you can always use a plate and just put your paints in there, mix them in there, and that's the main thing you need to do. So, but I do highly recommend a palette. It's going to be very useful for you. And then the next thing is a masking fluid. It is not essential for beginning your watercolor journey or just your watercolor painting. It is not essential for a beginner. Masking fluid is something, if you want to paint on a large surface and want to leave some white spots, like this white paper, you want to leave some white spots here, you apply your masking fluid and let it dry and paint over it. Your white spots will not be having paint on it. And there's something also called masking tape, and masking tape is also very affordable. You can get them in any local store, and it's something like masking fluid. Just put it on a piece of paper, and it prevents buckling, that is, or warping. It doesn't make the paper bend, curve and bend like that, because you can put the tape and stick it on the surface. That makes it very easy. And if you don't have masking tape, there is another option. I also like to use my washi tape. It's very good, as it's paper tape. It works completely fine, so I do recommend that if you can't afford masking tape. Yeah, those are the extra stuff, and other than that, you really don't need any more supplies. So thank you for watching. This is a slightly long video, but I tried to shorten it as much as possible. And make sure to press that like button, press the subscribe button, and the notifications bell to be notified whenever I post a new video. And I really respect that. I really thank you if you do that, because it supports me, tells me that I can put more videos, and there are people who watch me. And if you've come till the end, thank you, and I'll be seeing you in my next tutorial.